Hello and welcome everyone, I am Madals and welcome to Game 3 of this best of 3 from the Go for SC2 tournament. And well, let me introduce these two players who have already tied the series up 1-1, being Game 3 of 3. In the top right position we do have the red Protoss player, it is XMG's Monchi. And in the lower left we do have the former TSL player, before they disbanded, is of course the Code S GSL player, it is HyuN. So, these two are definitely having a fun series, like that's for sure. Especially after game 1, they can't have not enjoyed it. It was just one of those funky games where you're just like, lol, that didn't go how either of us planned it to, but oh well, it was enjoyable. Game 2, HyuN would have been happy with that. It went exactly how HyuN wanted it to. It couldn't have gone more how he wanted it to be honest. So, yeah, that's definitely a confidence boost when you know that you've just executed your build perfectly and you leveled up the series again. So that's good news. Now, Game 3, Cloud Kingdom. It's a great map. Everyone likes it. The key thing about Cloud Kingdom really is the third base for the Zerg player. It's wide, it's open, 2 entrances. It can be awkward. It's susceptible to force fields between the hatchery and the wall, and as a result, a lot of Protoss players like to go for a Sentry Immortal all-in on this map. So, we'll wait to see if Monchi does that. Alternatively, he could try and take a quick third base. It is plausible to do so. You just have to be a little bit careful. So, yeah. That is really the things we're looking out for this game so far. Spawning pool coming down, the probe obviously forcing some lost minerals. HyuN pulling his drone already to go and make his natural, but back comes the probe. The first hit goes off though for the drone and is just going to try and delay this as long as possible, because you do just have to do that to try and knock the probe out, and if you don't, you end up delaying your natural for a long period of time, as we're seeing Monchi being able to achieve right now. But HyuN pulling it back will get it down. The probe needs to stay alive just to get a good look at what's coming out. Pulling back specifically to see if there's many banked up lava, because as we can see, Monchi chose to go for a Nexus first opening, and if you saw 3 lava sitting there and then suddenly 3 eggs as the spawning pool finished, you'd quite likely be like, okay, I need to complete my wall off and be prepared for 6 Zerglings coming into my base, because there's nothing worse than having an incomplete wall off. And even with a cannon done, 3, maybe 4 Zerglings getting into your main, and then you've got to deal with those for a long period of time, which is incredibly frustrating to do. So, as we can see, looking down here for HyuN, he's got his natural up, he's getting his third base. Again, it's going to be just before the 4-minute mark, actually, about 3:54, which is one of the earliest third base timings I've consistently seen in a long time. And it's all due to the fact that HyuN delays his second queen. He gets 1 queen up and then doesn't grab a second one, and he only gets the 2 Zerglings. So those are the shortcuts he's taking in order to make sure that he's able to get that down so much quicker. And short term, it means you have slightly fewer lava, but long term, obviously you get that base up slightly quicker, which is good news. Now, as we can see here, these Zerglings have managed to make it into the main base yet again, which is really frustrating. Especially that both of them got in, that kind of must not have been finished. And with these 2 Zerglings in, it gives HyuN a lot of scouting information. He also is forcing Monchi to pull probes out of gas. Just pull probes, pay attention to his workers, because otherwise HyuN will kill one. It's that simple. You have to be there prepared, and we can see here, 1 does actually go down, so HyuN already paid for these 2 Zerglings rather, getting in. If he gets another probe, it's definitely great news for him. But even if he doesn't, he's able to keep scouting for a very long period of time. He's forcing Monchi to keep his attention in his main base, throwing him off his game plan, and generally just being really annoying. And if you can annoy your opponent during a game, then obviously you're going to be coming off better, because generally people, when they're annoyed, make more mistakes. So, as we can see, these Zerglings coming in yet again. More little bits of lost mining time, and it may not seem like much, but when you think of how many times probes have been pulled off their normal mining cycles, it's not a massive amount, but it's probably racking up over time, and that small little advantage is what makes the difference between, say, a player who's doing well online or in High Masters, Grandmasters, and someone who's Code S. It's those little mistakes, those little alterations to your build, these little things that HyuN is keeping 2 Zerglings alive for what seems like an eternity, all while still macroing up perfectly back at home. Now HyuN has seen the robotics facility as well, so he knows precisely what's coming out. He has got vision of this forge as well, so he's able to straight away know, hey, I know what my opponent's making, I know he's not researching any upgrades yet, I know the robotics facility timing, I can see this gas timing. All of these things trigger certain responses from HyuN. He triggers him to know when things can happen. He sees the third base with this overlord, and therefore he knows, okay, now I need to take my fourth. It's that simple. He's got to take his fourth base, or he's got to come and kill this. Those are your two options you've got as a Zerg player in this exact situation. But because HyuN has the information, because he's got the scouting information, he's able to make the correct decision. And I know I'm really labouring that point, but it's something that a lot of lower level players really struggle with. Even some higher level players going into Diamond and Low Masters, is one of the biggest things you've got to know is exactly what your opponent is doing. The more information you know, the better you can respond to it, because HyuN knows he's completely safe, so he can take this fourth base. Units wise, he's got no offensive units on the field at all, because of what he can scout at the moment. Instead, he is purely droning and now just getting up a few speedlings, most likely to come and harass this base. Monchi though, he's getting up a lot of gateways, really gateway heavy at the moment, so he's getting 5 additional gates up, so that'll take him up to 6 gates. He's still producing Immortals, but he's not teching up anymore yet, even though he's on those 4 gas, so he's got a good amount. He's probably going to chuck down some more sentries. There we go, some more warping in. That's to just allow him to be more defensive against these speedlings, which are getting the 1-1 upgrades now. We've got the 7th and 8th gas already getting started by HyuN, and he's going to try and come up into here, but obviously, as we can see, we've got the wall off, so that is not going to be successful. This is one of the things that's really nice about this map for Protoss players, is you can wall off here and then take your third quickly, and it is the alternative to the Immortal Sentry all-in, which Monchi is really hopefully going to show us can be very effective. The Photon Cannon and second pylon there as well, just in case the pylon got sniped off. Meanwhile, back at HyuN's base, we see that he's up to nearly 80 drones. He's getting down his pathogen glands upgrade, so we will see investors shortly. He's getting the 1-1 melee ranged weapons upgrade, as well as the road speed upgrade. So, more offensively geared already. He may go for some kind of timing with those Immortals, trying to push in with the 1-1 upgrades with Immortals, get a few good fungal growths off, deal some nice damage. But now we see actually Monchi moving across the map, so HyuN's got to respond to this. He's got to start producing quite a lot of units very quickly, but he's got a macro hatch up. He's got 3 additional bases, well, he's got 4 bases. With a macro hatch, you're in a comfortable spot there. You've got a lot of production capability very quickly indeed, and as we can see, 20 roaches in production. They are going to get into a good spot. We do have the infestors on their way out. Now this 4th base is in a lot of trouble right now. HyuN does not have the units he needs to start defending this. Does manage to stream in quite a lot of stuff and does force back all those sentries. More reinforcements are still coming across. The 1-1 upgrades about to kick in. That's compared to the 1-0 upgrades for Monchi, and well, Infested Terrans getting locked out. They tank up some of the damage, and HyuN actually manages to hold this base, which is a massive win for him. If he had lost that hatchery, it would have ultimately put him on equal basis with the Protoss player, but by being able to hold it and actually dealing with this army very effectively, HyuN, I would say, is pulling ahead. He's still getting out a lot more units. He's throwing over a few Infested Terrans. The Infested Terrans do still get the upgrade advantage on this version of the game, so that just means that they are slightly more effective. And now we see that HyuN, he's been forced to pull back. He's waiting for a good attack angle. Monchi pushing forward. He does have 1 Immortal, trying to focus down that hatchery, and if he gets it, as I said, it's a big win for him, and he does appear to be able to take it down. So with that, obviously, he may choose to just pull back, thinking, hey, I've done enough damage now. I've hurt his economy. I've put myself ahead economically. Let's tech. Let's pull back. Let's get an army up. Alternatively, he can do what he's doing, which is just push forward if he thinks he has got the advantage. And clearly, he does. HyuN pulling all of his drones, and Monchi is, well, dealing an awful lot of damage. The force fields are nice. He's keeping the roaches zoned out, so they aren't able to engage effectively. A lot of drones are going down. We see 23 already killed. The next wave of warpins coming. Unfortunately, Monchi's army is starting to get a little bit smaller. Chain fungals are starting to hit. The next wave of warpins are going to be essential. 2 Immortals are just going to survive, I think. They do, with 4 and 1 health. And of course now, HyuN is waiting for yet more reinforcements, but Monchi would be wise, in my opinion, to pull back. If he pulled back now, he knows he's in a good spot. He knows he should be on equal, or at least good in terms of the worker count, just through how many he's killed. And by committing more to this aggression, I'm just slightly concerned because all these mortals are so low on health. But some good force fields go down yet again. Some speedlings do manage to get through, though. The Roach is able to snipe down one of those immortals. If the immortals fall, then suddenly monchi is going to be in a lot more problems. And we can see here, HyuN is pushing forward. He's dealing some really nice damage, and with this next wave of warpins, he may just be able to still take it down. The Queen picks off the Warp Prism, which is absolutely brilliant. We see the two immortals, only one now remaining, more roaches coming in, and with that, HyuN will be able to clean this up. There's no way this force is going to survive now. The roaches, once they've got rid of that immortal, are going to be very happy indeed. Two infested Terrans getting lobbed down just because, why not? A little more damage will always be good news for me. The +2 missile attack is nearly done. The Sentry and Stalker die. And if we look at the loss tab, actually, HyuN only losing 1,000 more resources. Admittedly, he lost a base, and he also lost a lot of workers, but the counterattack is what monchi's obviously got to be careful for now. With just one immortal out, and a handful of zealots and 2 sentries, he's got problems. It's that simple. He's got a lot of issues when HyuN's coming at him with this many units. He's just going so hard. Worker supply wise is looking pretty similar, but HyuN has got a lot more army supply. Just sending one speedling in to get a good scout off of what my opponent's got. Of course, the infestors don't have enough energy for a fungal growth though, so that means infested Terrans are their only option for the moment, or HyuN's got to wait a little bit for a few more reinforcements. Second immortal now joining into this army. That is of course very important. It's going to help deal with the roaches and also the infestors very well. But just look at these infested Terrans get lobbed down. That is a lot of damage potential. A big fungal growth hits all of the zealots as well, allowing these infested Terrans to hatch. And well, now we're going to see a lot of warp gates go down very quickly. They're going to keep pushing forward, these infested Terrans, and with this damage they are able to deal with a lot of stuff. They pick off 2 pylons, obviously the warp gates as well. The Nexus will survive because they are unfortunately all going to fall before it dies, but HyuN, he's droned up quite heavily behind this. He's back up in the lead with terms of worker count. He's hurt monchi's production, and it has leveled out now quite a lot. The tech advantage though is slowly going into the Protoss' favour due to the first Colossus just popping now, and of course extended thermal lance on its way. Once extended thermal lance is complete, then obviously monchi's going to be able to engage this force a lot better, and HyuN's got to be careful. But he's got a good count of infestors, and therefore he can get an awful lot of infested Terrans out and get some great fungal growths down. So he's moving across the map. He's going to try and deal another wave of damage. The observer is going to see all the positioning. The Colossus on the high ground is going to be very helpful as well. But the big thing for monchi is he's kept up this third base. He's been on equal bases with the Zerg for a long period of time now, and as a result his income has been very nice indeed. We do have very similar worker counts, and now HyuN is going to try and go for it. Are we going to see some more infested Terrans? We should do. Here they start streaming in. The Beach Ball party has started. The Zealots are trying to deal as much damage as they can. The Colossus is trying to pick them off though, but loads are managing to hatch out. We do see a lot of damage being done by them, and them alone. A few roaches are streaming in as well, as we can see. The second Colossus is now out, and of course Colossus do well against infested Terrans, but the roaches streaming forward, trying to snipe one off. The first Colossus is nearly going to go down. It does fall. The second one gets surrounded by the roaches, but should be able to escape up into the high ground. Just about, with only 38 health there. And well, the infested Terrans get cleaned out, and HyuN is yet again forced back. So monchi really holding on now. Losing the Colossus was awkward for him. If he was able to keep that up, then it would have been a solid engagement. But having lost that, HyuN keeping the Colossus count below the sort of 3-4 mark means that roach infestor pushes are still viable. Monchi with a little bit of an infestor comment, just that infestors are good units. Of course they are, but monchi overcommitted. The big thing of this match, while we're waiting for this to go on so far, is I'd say monchi maybe overcommitted here. Once he picked up that 4th base, if he pulled back and kept his army alive, the following counterattack would not have been successful. So as a result, monchi did lose all his army and is now basically having to hold on. And as long as he does hold on, he's got Colossus really building up in numbers. Once the Colossi count gets to 3 or 4, he's really good. But in comes HyuN at the perfect moment, chucks an awful lot of infested Terrans down, and even though the 3rd Colossus is now on its way, we see the infestors burrowing under. They are getting right into the mix of things. The infested Terrans going down absolutely everywhere. Most of monchi's army is getting taken out, and well, probes getting pulled, which is never a good sign. The roaches streaming forward. They pick off one Colossus, the second Colossus, and monchi forced to GG out. And well, HyuN does take this series 2-1. It was an incredibly fun series to cast. I hope you all enjoyed it. Remember, like the video, leave a cool comment, and subscribe. I'll see each and every one of you tomorrow for yet another new game. Thank you very much for watching, and bye for now.